So we're here at the Las Vegas Wetlands Preserve on this lovely Sunday, Valentine's afternoon. And we got a little story for you guys about our attempted camp out last night. It's supposed to be a Valentine's Day stargazing camp out. And literally everything that went wrong.
Nope.
God damn it.
Why are you laughing?
Literally everything that went wrong could go wrong. And literally everything that could go wrong did go wrong. It just ended in comedic levels of disaster and was not fun for anyone involved. So have a seat, we got a little story for you guys. So looking back on this story, this was definitely one of the most unfortunate, unlucky series of events that's ever happened to us. But for y'all to understand just how shitty this was, you need a little context. So back when we lived in Florida, we used to love camping, and we went a good bit. But we've moved around a lot the past couple years, and we haven't been in probably over 2 years. And we didn't have any camping gear in Vegas. So for weeks before, we were extensively planning the trip, tons of trips to the store, bought hundreds of dollars of nice camping gear, planning out all our meals. Yeah, we were really excited. And it looked like everything was lining up perfectly for an amazing weekend. The new moon in February happened to be almost exactly on Valentine's Day, which is perfect for stargazing. We decided to camp at this rustic spot on the northern edge of Lake Mead, Stewart's Point. It's a little under 90 minutes from our house. We'd actually been there once before, and it was a lot of fun. On our last trip, we were amazed that for how relatively close it is to the light pollution of Vegas, the sky in this spot was actually really, really dark. We saw tens of thousands of stars, our first time seeing the clouds of the Milky Way, shooting stars every few minutes. The mesmerizing night sky combined with the wide open desert landscape and the stunning mountain and lake views made this one of our favorite places we've been around Vegas. The first time we were there, we didn't actually camp, so we were really excited to get all set up and fall asleep under the night sky. So the weekend finally arrives and we get the car all packed up, filled to the brim. And the doggies, they knew with all those bags, we just had to be going somewhere fun. They were even more excited than we were. Well, our bad luck started when we get to the area, and despite the weather reports all week, it was completely overcast. This is very unusual for Vegas, where most days there isn't a cloud in the sky. So much for stargazing. Well, we didn't pack up all this shit for nothing, so stars be damned, let's just make the best of it. So we drive deep into the campsites, down countless dirt roads, and we happen to stumble upon an incredible secluded area to set up camp. Just 10 feet from the lake with great views and plenty of areas for us and the dogs to explore without worrying about other people. These lakeside campsites are in high demand, so up to this point, we're feeling pretty good about the night. We get our campsite all set up, and last, we just have to set up the bed. We plug the air mattress pump into my car, and it doesn't work. Now, this is a brand spanking new air mattress. I literally just bought the thing. And not only that, I already did a test run inflating it from my car at home to avoid this exact situation from happening. I'm thinking, oh God, is this how this night's gonna go? Well, after jiggling with it for a few minutes, it starts working. Sweet Jesus, crisis averted. We blow up our bed completely, go to put it in the tent, only to find that it's about 4 inches too big to fit through the door when it's fully inflated. All right, no big deal. We'll just let a little air out, get it in the door, and then blow it back up. So we did that. And apparently we did something to anger the air mattress gods, because at this point the pump totally dies and will not work at all. I messed with this thing for 30 minutes of pure frustration, just trying to fix this piece of shit. It gets us nowhere. So we got to evaluate our options. We can't sleep on a half-inflated air mattress, and sleeping on the ground was kind of out of the question, as there may have been a couple of rocks around the area that would have been a little uncomfortable. Now, we really didn't want to go home after all this, and the nearest town to buy a new pump was 30 minutes away. So, I did what any man would do in this situation. I realized that my only option is to go befriend some rednecks. So I really don't want to have to go to this little town. I don't even know if it's going to have an air mattress pump. It's like a super tiny town. So I go and start asking basically every camper and person that I see out.
Excuse me, sir. Good. Hey, you wouldn't happen to have like a pump or air mattress pump with it?
So most people are looking at me like, is this guy for real right now? But I don't give up. So I'm like sticking my hand out the window, trying to wave down all these cars that are driving by. They think I'm some kind of lunatic, but I'm thinking one of these people has to have an air mattress pump. I stopped and asked at least 30 people.
Excuse me, you wouldn't happen to have like a pump or air mattress pump with you, would you?
So an important detail that's going to come up in the story in just a little bit that I want you guys to pay attention to is how poorly defined the roads are here. Like, this is not an official campsite. There's no road markers. There's just little dirt roads crisscrossing every which way that people have made. And it's also a huge area, and it's very hilly, and there's like hundreds of people out there camping, all very spread out. Now, at the time, I was really locked in. I was not thinking about this. I'm just trying to find an air mattress pump. I'm like, please, someone, will anyone save my Valentine's weekend? One of these people has to have an air mattress pump. You don't know how tired I got of going up to people and asking.
Excuse me, you wouldn't happen to have like a pump for an air mattress with you, would you?
All right, by this point, I'm sure you guys are already tired of hearing me say that, so I'm not going to play every person that I asked this to, but I was driving around for like 20 plus minutes, and just when I'm starting to get so frustrated and think that all hope is lost, my savior appears. This moment really restored my faith in humanity. This guy, his name was Doug, awesome guy, sees me running around all flustered, comes up to me, asks me, hey, what's going on, man? And I tell him, and he's like, oh, I think we've got an air mattress pump. He's out with his wife, Wendy, and his 4 adorable grandkids. But I feel so bad because they were walking down for a little hike by the lake, and the kids are like, so we're not going to the lake anymore, Grandpa? And I'm just like, ugh. But he insists on helping me. I'm just following in my car, feeling so shitty for these kids because it's like a mile walk back to where they're set up at. So we finally get back to the camper, they find the pump. The only problem is it has to run from the generator that's in the back of his truck. So this man, he is a saint. He had to unhook his whole RV and everything from his truck and then follow me back to the campsite. But this is where I start realizing we've got a little problem in that I have no freaking idea where I am and how to get back to my campsite. And he had asked me earlier, how far away is your campsite? I told him, oh, just over the hill, I think. Well, there's not just one hill, and there is a shit ton of roads that all look exactly the same. So I know we're on one of these little peninsulas along the lake, but I have no idea which one or how to get to it. So I now realize we started over in this part of the park, and this poor guy ends up following me just on a wild goose chase all over the place, and we're just U-turning and almost driving off cliffs, and I had no idea where it was, and I started freaking out at this point. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even gonna be able to find Jess. What is going on? It's getting dark, I can't see shit, so I'm just jumping out of my car, just trying to get some kind of vantage point to find her. Meanwhile, this guy, his wife, and his 4 grandkids are sitting around watching my dumbass just U-turn and take them in circles. But let me reemphasize, these people were saints. I told them they could go back, and then I was sorry, I couldn't remember where I was at. But they're like, no, man, it's no problem. Like, we'll find it as long as it takes. So eventually, after almost 30 minutes of driving around, and it's like totally dark by this point, just a sliver of sunlight, we find the campsite. The nightmare is over. And poor Jess is just sitting there waiting with the dogs in the dark, just wondering if I'm gonna come back. And I couldn't even contact her because she left her phone in my car. And she couldn't even start a fire or anything because the wood was in my car. Yeah, very unfortunate. So while he's inflating our air mattress, they're chatting with us and they're like, y'all are brave souls for camping out here. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, because of the wind. We had 2 tents destroyed out here by the wind. So I'm thinking, now that they mention it, I didn't see anyone else in tents. All these smart locals, they know what's up, and they all had humongous RVs. So up until this point, it hadn't been too windy. But sure enough, a little after the sun went down when they left, things go from 0 to 100 real quick. And it is like out of nowhere, hurricane force winds. Like it's about to blow our tent away with an air mattress and bags and shit in it. And Jess has to like hold down the tent with one hand. Our stakes already got ripped out of the ground. I'm running around trying to secure this thing. So we take a little peek inside the tent as we're doing this, only to see the wonderful surprise that our air mattress, freshly pumped, has been deflated. And at this point, there's nothing you could do but laugh. Apparently, I didn't screw the cap on tight enough. I don't know. Yeah, it was not meant to be. So we're just trying to figure out what to do at this point. So the doggies, it's so windy, they don't even know what's going on at this point. We have to put them in the car, and we're like, that's it. We're done. We're leaving. Let's pack everything up. It's so windy, we can't even fold up the tent or anything. We're doing everything we can just to stop it from ripping out of our hands. So we just have to shove everything in the car, which takes up a lot of space if you don't fold it. So I can't even get the door for the car closed. Well, it turns out when it's pitch black, there's no road markers, no lights, it's pretty damn hard to find your way out. So I made a wrong turn, and then the car starts getting stuck. You can see I'm just spinning out here in this massive rut. And we're just like, no, please God, don't do this to us, no. But luckily this is not the first, nor will it be the last time Jess and I have gotten our car stuck in the wilderness. So we got a little bit of experience with it. So we start working the car out, scouting the ground, finding some hard soil. And eventually we do make it out. Now Mom, Dad, I know what you're thinking. Why is my son doing such dangerous things? But do not worry, there was plenty of people around that could have towed us out if we really did get stuck. As we're finding our way out of the maze, we have to keep getting out of the car and scouting which path to take. And every time the poor doggies just think we're leaving them for dead in the wilderness. But eventually we do finally make our way to the paved road. Civilization, sort of. At least the road's paved. So we're all just totally exhausted by this point, and as we're just absolutely dreading the nearly hour-and-a-half drive we have ahead of us, we come up with a great idea. Hey, instead of going all the way home, let's just drive 30 minutes north, away from our house, to Overton. They have to have a hotel there. And we're able to get a little bit of cell phone service, and sure enough, they have a hotel and a motel. Sweet. This will be fun. We stay in a little town, and the hotel in particular actually looks really nice, and they're both dog-friendly. So we were just sitting on the side of the road, struggling to get a call to go through on barely 1 bar of cell phone service. And of course, neither one of the places is answering the phone. Well, we think, what are the chances both places are going to be sold out in this tiny little town? So, we've been pretty lucky up until this point. Let's just roll the dice again and drive the opposite direction of home in hopes that they will have a room for us. I think by this point, you can guess what happens next. The nice hotel is completely booked. So we drive across town to the little motel that is just an absolute shithole, and probably thank God they're also booked. So we're like, great. Now we're almost 2 hours from home. So we just start heading back towards Vegas. Our only other option is a little truck stop, quote, motel that was 5 rooms connected to a gas station. So we pass on that for obvious reasons, although they did have some vacancy. So after nearly 2.5 hours in the car looking for a hotel, we finally get to the north side of Vegas and pull into the luxurious, romantic getaway that is Motel 6. Actually, it ended up being the nicest Motel 6 we've ever stayed in, so that was a plus. And we just got some pizza, had a glass of wine, and ended up having an okay night. Yeah, definitely was one of the more shitty, stressful nights of our lives. Definitely the shittiest Valentine's Day of our lives. But hey, at least it was memorable. Appreciate you guys watching if you made it this far. Hopefully you got a laugh or two out of our suffering. Y'all just let me know when you want to go camping with me. Guaranteed to go better than this one. Till next time, everybody.